Hey everybody, my name is Cody Guerrero, and I'm competing in the Favorite Chef on Facebook. And I wanted to thank you all for the votes that you've given me. I am 6th place right now in my group. We are deciding the top 10 over the next 5 days remaining. But to thank you, I wanted to show you a little chili recipe that I'm going to use today. We've got some friends coming over, and I'm going to cook some chili on the Kudu. So what I've done is I've cut up some beef short ribs that are boneless beef short ribs. They came 4 to a pack. I bought 2 packs. I'm going to do about 5 of the ribs. So as you can see here, I've cubed some up, and I'll show you how I did that. They come just like this, and cut lengthways. You want to have a real sharp knife for this. Right now I'm using the Dow Strong set that my wife was kind enough to buy me. And I'm just going to cube that. I've also cut up some bacon here that we're going to brown. And I'm doing this on the Kudu Grill, and I don't know if you guys know what a Kudu Grill is, but I suggest that you check it out. It's a South African braai grill, and I have a Dutch oven that's hanging over there, and it's getting nice and warm. So you see I've cut up the beef here. I've also cut up some pork to give some nice fat with that. And while I'm waiting for that Kudu to warm up, I'm going to go ahead and cut up some of the other things that I'm going to cook in the oils that come out of this meat. So what we have is 1 whole jalapeno, and we're going to finally chop that. We're going to cut it up, and you want to take all the seeds and what's called the ribs out. Scrape them out just like that. Put that into a little pan. Now, of course, don't touch your eyes after you do this. Cut it in half there. Line them up here. And just kind of coarsely chop them. I know I said finely before, but I think I'm going to go with a coarse chop. And I'm no chef, you know, so I don't have the knife skills that I'm sure many of you do out there, but I'll cut that up. All right, set that aside. We've also got a half of an onion. We're gonna chop that up here. Once again, coarsely, because as this cooks, it'll cook about 3 hours. And what you'll find is a lot of these vegetables will just emulsify, and they'll leave all that good flavor behind, but you won't have the big chunks left. So we'll set that aside. And the last thing is a little bit of garlic. So I've got about 4 cloves here. We'll kind of smash those up. Get the covers off of them. And we're going to brown those just full cloves in that nice fat that bacon is going to leave in the bottom of this Dutch oven. I threw the wrong thing away there. That off, and get 1 more here. All right, so this is really no different from cooking an Italian gravy or an Italian sauce. You're gonna let all that fat caramelize in the bottom of that pan. You know, and it's a Dutch oven today, but it's the same principle. You're gonna let that fat caramelize, and then you're going to take the meat out, and we'll let the onion, the garlic, and the jalapeno kind of brown in that area, and then we'll add the tomato sauce, beans, all that stuff, and add that beef back in. And it'll cook over time. It'll cook down. That beef will become extremely tender, and it'll just be an amazing flavor. And then we'll garnish it with some things at the end. I do have some seasoning here that I'm probably going to put on the beef as I brown it. And we've got cumin, we've got coriander, we've got paprika, marjoram, a little bit of sage because I like that earthiness that sage gives it. Chili powder, of course, chili flakes, and some cayenne pepper. So not to mention, we've got some sea salt and a little bit of black pepper as well. So that'll kind of bind to that meat and give it a real healthy flavor throughout that meat. So every time you take a good bite, you're going to taste that flavor through and through. So stay tuned, and I'll come back and we'll show you how we brown that in the Kudu Dutch oven. All right, so now we're ready to put the meat into the Dutch oven here on the Kudu. And what I've done is I've combined the beef and the pork because I want that pork to release that fat as the kind of the pores, if, for lack of better terms, on the beef opens up and kind of absorbs that moisture. I've also seasoned it. I added a little cocoa and a little ground coffee to it, just about a teaspoon of each, just to give it a little bit of earthiness there. And we're going to go ahead and add that now. And what we're trying to do is just get a nice brown on it. Kudu's nice and hot here. Add it in. Hopefully y'all can see okay. No need to adjust your screens. I am this fat. Not a thing. So we'll spread that out, give it some surface area, and let that cook a little bit, and we'll brown it. And I'll give you a close-up view of that here in 1 second. All right, so here's a close-up of this beef and this pork and this Kudu. We're going to let it brown up a little bit, and once it does that, we'll take it back out and we'll add our vegetables. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about how versatile this Kudu is here. You see we've got the Dutch oven, but I'm also frying some bacon in this skillet. And after I'm done frying this bacon is going to be topped on some baked potatoes that we're cooking. I'm going to go ahead and throw the cornbread batter in here and cook up some cornbread on the grill grate. It's out of sight here, but I'm going to do some hot dogs for the kids. May even brown up those buns a little bit. So Kudu, I highly recommend you check them out. They're one of the most versatile cooking systems, I guess, that I've ever used. All right, now, so these onions are just about translucent. Everything is kind of caramelizing nicely. So before we deglaze this, I'm going to take about a tablespoon of tomato paste, and I'm going to throw it here into the Dutch oven and let that brown. And the reason why I do that before the liquid is because you want that tomato paste to kind of cook out. Otherwise, you get a kind of a more citrusy or citric acid type of flavor profile. So you want to cook that down a little bit. All right. That's good. So we'll take a little bit of the beer here. The tad. We're going to toss that up and around. And of course, all that alcohol is going to cook out. But what this does is it takes all those crispy bits from the bacon and the beef and dislodges that from the pan, drops it down into all the goodness here. So then we've got about 24-ounce can of tomato sauce and another 24-ounce or 29-ounce, they may be, of fire roasted diced tomatoes. So we're going to add that in. Try not to make too much of a mess here. Pull that out. Give that a mix. All right. Then we have our bean mixture. So what I went with is light kidney beans, black beans, and pinto beans. And these are canned, but I do throw them all in a strainer and I rinse them off to try to get all that juice or whatever it is that's around it. So to give it a nice clean bean here. I probably want to add all of them in. Just kind of eyeball it and see how thick you like your chili. That's probably about good for me, because remember, we're going to add this beef back here. We're going to do that right now. It's got all that nice juice in it as well. Add all that in. So this is going to be a real hearty chili. You know, and if you don't like, see where my glove went, but if you don't like your chili with beans, yeah, you can exclude those, of course. All right. So I'm gonna add a little bit more of this beer just to kind of loosen it up. But remember, these beans are probably gonna release a lot of that moisture that was in them and may make this a little looser than what it looks now. So we're gonna let that cook. I'm gonna cover it. I'm gonna keep adding coal and cook it about 2.5, 3 hours. It's roughly 3:15 now. We've got people coming over. No, it's not. It's 4:15. We got people coming over at 6. So you don't have to cook it as long. You know, these are beef ribs, so they're gonna probably get tender pretty quick. And we'll show you the end product. All right.